Both Arnos and Misha paused mid-step. Misha tilted her head in confusion, her soft expression unchanged. Arnos, however, turned toward Rimuru, silently demanding an explanation. Rimuru simply shook her head. Arnos raised a brow. No answers? Fine. With a shrug, he turned back forward, dismissing it for now. But Rimuru, outwardly calm, was anything but composed. Rimuru's POV. Ciel, did I just hear her destiny shatter? I thought we only erased her fate of disappearing. Master, her destiny appears to have been intertwined with her fate to fade. That connection was broken. My eyes narrowed. There's a difference. Fate is what you're meant to do. A farmer is fated to farm, a ruler to rule. But fate can be resisted, denied, even changed. Destiny, on the other hand, is the role someone is born to fulfill. My brother, Veldanava, was destined to create. Arnos, he was destined to break balance. But fate and destiny are never supposed to intertwine. Fate is a path. Destiny is a purpose. If they're tangled together, that means something is pulling the strings. A god, we detected divine interference, right? But how could even a god manipulate both fate and destiny? More information is needed. Master, then find it. When the entrance exam starts, see what you can learn. Third-person POV. A sneer echoed through the air. Well, coming to the entrance ceremony with your parents? Since when was this a playground for children? Oh, look, our first third-rate villain has entered the scene. A young man strutted forward, tan skin, light hair, earrings dangling from both ears. His entire aura screamed, "Please punch me in the face." He locked eyes with the trio, Misha, Arnos, and Rimuru, with theatrical arrogance. Whispers rose around them. They're in trouble now. That's Zepsindu. He's a noble. They won't get out of this unscathed. And what did the trio do in response? Nothing. They walked right past him. Zeps blinked. Froze. Oi, hey, I'm talking to you. The group paused. Arnos and Rimuru shared a brief glance. Rimuru, you deal with that. Arnos, of course I do. Arnos turned, his trademark smug grin already in place. My bad. Your magical power was so low, I didn't notice you. Arnos's POV. The gates of the academy, once my castle, stood before us. Even after 2,000 years, the structure was unchanged, still humming with the ancient magic I forged into it. It had a new name now, Demon King Academy. Nostalgia swelled, until my parents began embarrassing me in public. Joy. Still, their smiles made it bearable. Having Rimuru, clearly enduring the same fate, beside me was comforting in a twisted way. Misha, quiet as always, clutched her letter like a lifeline. And Rimuru, too quiet. That's never good. Just as I was about to question her, I heard the chain shatter. She gave me nothing. Fine. Later. Then this clown Zeps showed up. And Rimuru, of course, delegated the problem to me. As a generous ancestor, I thought I'd give this descendant a little guidance. Arnos, my bad. Your magic was so small, I didn't even notice. Zeps, WH what? How dare you? Do you know who I am? Arnos, not particularly. Are you famous? Zeps, I am Zepsindu, a demon marquis. Arnos, never heard of it. I mean, really? That title probably popped up in the last 2,000 years. Not in my era. Zeps, cold voice apologize. Now's your only chance. Magic flared around him. A series of overcomplicated glyphs and formations appeared around his hands. Dark mana twisted together as he conjured. A weak-ass flame. Seriously? Zeps, this is the dark flame Gresta, said to burn even gods. Unless you bow and kiss my shoes, I'll turn those girls' faces into skulls. What even is that mana manipulation? You built 5 circles to cast a low-class spell? Even kids used better fire magic to light campfires in the old days. This guy is a disgrace. I exhaled sharply. A gust of wind blew, and the black flame vanished. Zeps, how did you? Arnos, relax. I just blew out your matchstick. Zeps, you'll regret this. I'll kill you. Oh boy. Here we go. I started thinking of ways to avoid this headache. Maybe compel him to run errands for a few decades. Or hypnosis. Make him think he's a frog. Then Rimuru spoke. Rimuru's eyes glowed crimson, just for a second, as she looked at Zeps and commanded with an emotionless voice. Zepsindu, go to the corner and reflect on your actions. Do you understand? Zeps froze. Like a puppet on strings, he nodded stiffly and walked toward a corner of the courtyard. He dropped to his knees and began muttering to himself with a face full of regret. What was I thinking? I shouldn't have picked a fight with strangers. I just embarrassed myself in front of everyone. Why didn't I just keep my mouth shut? I wish I had a hole to crawl into. The nearby students stared in disbelief. Then whispers exploded like wildfire. Did you see that? She made Zeps apologize. And that other guy, he erased Gresta like it was smoke. Must be an anti-magic type. Unbothered, Rimuru turned back to her companions. Well, he's taken care of. Shall we continue? Enos gave a nod. Misha followed behind silently, still clutching her letter. Enos, she said softly. He glanced at her. Yes, Misha. Both of you're strong. Enos and Rimuru exchanged amused glances before chuckling. Enos replied with a smirk. I won't deny it, but in this case, that's not the right way to say it. Misha tilted her head. Then what's appropriate? In unison, Enos and Rimuru said. He's too weak. With that, they passed through the gates into the exam arena. Inside the academy grounds, the students were split into long lines under large hovering owls holding placards marked with letters. Bronze statues of knights stood on either side, and an owl croaked out in an eerie voice. Please stand beneath the letter written on the back of your invitation. Enos checked his. F. Rimuru flipped hers. D. Misha held hers up shyly. E. The three made brief eye contact. See you after the exam, Rimuru said. Both Enos and Misha nodded. They split off, each moving toward their designated lines. Enos's POV. After parting with Rimuru and Misha, I joined the line under F. There were about 100 students in this row alone. If every line is similar, we've got around 700 total. Not bad for a race that had once been on the brink of extinction. It's been 2,000 years. I guess my descendants really got busy. I waited, eyes drifting across the rows using distant vision. One by one, students were led into a room. From there, they'd be called to the arena for their duel. Eventually, I reached the front of the line. A small owl greeted me from atop a pedestal inside the waiting room. Despite how normal it looked, I couldn't detect a trace of mana from it. Well hidden. Whoever its master is, they've got some skill. Welcome, the owl croaked. This is the practical exam for admission into the Demon King Academy. Being invited does not guarantee admission. Our goal is to find the reincarnated Demon King. So that's it. They're looking for me. Even in my era, reincarnation wasn't uncommon. But the fact they couldn't find me means their ability to detect founders is either flawed, or they've completely lost the ancient methods. The rules are simple. You must win 5 one-on-one duels. Magic, weapons, and armor are permitted. After 5 victories, you will undergo a mana measurement and aptitude exam. Losers are disqualified. Reasonable, I thought. If you're the true Demon King, you shouldn't lose anyway. They're using combat to narrow it down, and magic analysis to confirm identity. Simple, but efficient. Do you have any questions? I shook my head. Not particularly. Then enter through that door. May the blessings of our ancestors guide you. I walked through the passage. The stone corridor was long, lit dimly by magical torches. Despite this once being my own castle, I never used this side of it. Back then, this area was for gladiator duels and entertainment. At the end of the hall, daylight streamed through an archway. I stepped out into the arena. High stone walls surrounded the pit, and students filled the stands. Judging by the uniforms, they were all from the Demon King Academy. Then I saw him. Well, fancy meeting you here. Zepsindu stood in the center of the arena, arms crossed and smirking. Oh, it's this idiot again. This might actually be fun. I stepped forward, the barrier sealing the arena flaring behind me. What's wrong? Zeps jeered, scared now that the exit's sealed. I stared at him like he'd just sprouted a second head. He thinks that intimidates me. Ah, It's been a while since someone had the guts to talk to me like this. Maybe I've been away from the world too long. Time to remember the joy of face-slapping arrogant fools. I smiled. No, I was just thinking how sad it is that you can't escape. Don't worry, I won't kill you. Probably.
Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
Zeps visibly gulped due to the sudden change in Anos's behavior. Why am I suddenly scared of him? I can definitely defeat him with my magic sword and armor, but why can't I get this bad feeling over me? Looking at the scared Zeps, Anos raised an eyebrow. Oh, did his instinct warn him that I was being serious? Well, this should make things interesting. Hated the clown know his place already? As Anos spoke those words with magic imbued to them, which was a similar version of what Rimuru did with her skills. But suddenly runes began to appear on the Zeps' armor. After seeing that his magic was defended, Anos began to analyze the runes on the armor, and in less than 3 seconds, he found their uses. That armor was designed to ward off any kind of mental attack and spiritual attack. Make no mistake, that defense can be bypassed if Anos, Rimuru, or any skilled magician uses their magic power and attack the weak spots on the armor. But for your average magician, it is an absolute mental defense. He did try to use magic and control me, as that bitch did. Then you fucked, because with this armor, I can block any mental attacks. Now after I kill you, I will find that bitch and show her the consequences of standing against a royale. Anos, almost in a bored tone, said, Yes, you wear armor, because you have 0 defense against mental attacks. We all know that, so can we begin this already? You? Before Zeps could argue, the owl spoke. I allow the use of weapons, armor, and magic equipment. Victory or defeat will be decided by the death of the other or the declaration of giving up. Now, then, let's begin the practical test. Immediately, Zeps unsheathed the sword that was hanging on his waist and sprinted towards Anos at a high speed. When he was near him, his swords emitted a terrifying black flame around it. Zeps, wasting no time, slashed towards Anos's neck, with the earlier momentum clearly fixating on killing him. When the sword was near his neck, Anos immediately ducked and gave a kick. Zeps immediately backed away and evaded it. While their battle is going on, the audience cheered with much excitement. To them, it looked like Anos is barely dodging Zeps' sword strikes. To them, fighting against a royal or a noble is very hard, as they're given more training at an early age. So they are betting on how much time Anos would survive. Well, they couldn't be more wrong from the truth. While to many, Zeps' speed may be fast, but to Anos, who fought Hero Cannon head-on, he is very slow, and, while some may believe it is nonsense, if Zeps' sword came in touch with Anos' skin, it would simply have broken in half. Well, Anos has a weak anti-magic barrier around him. While this may be weak, to Anos the barrier is a top-tier magic spell in the modern era, so when the sword touches it, it would break due to the barrier's properties and its hardness. While some may ask, what's the big deal if it broke? It's just a sword. No, you are wrong. What Zeps is wielding is the family heirloom of the Indu family, the magic sword Zelfried. It was a sword born from an ancient flame that was handed down to the Indu family for generations. This sword amplifies the user's magic power by 10 folds and increased the agility by 5 folds. So to Anos, who is the ancestor, felt like he is bullying his descendants if he broke that sword by accident, so that why at the last moment he evaded the strike after realizing the sword's state. After a few rounds of dodging, both of them jumped in the opposite direction of each other to get a moment to breathe. Well, it's mostly for Zeps, since he is the only one who is tired. To Anos, it's just like a walk in a park. Anos POV. This is boring. If I had a sword in my hand, I would have already cut him 100 times. But well, there are no grown-ups who take children's games seriously. Look at him seriously. We only battled for about 20 minutes, and you are already panting. If it was at war, you would have died already. And that sword, seriously, what kind of crap is that? Well, I do remember some folks creating some swords called magic swords in those days, but we almost never use them since we lose immediately if that weapon was stolen or broken. Well, it's quite ironic that those swords are used as family heirlooms these days. But even if this guy is a complete scum, destroying a family heirloom would not be good in my guilty conscience. So let's just break his spirit and get the win. Hey, is that a magic sword? That's right. Are you seeing it for the first time? A little different from modern magic, true magic. Yes, this is an ancient sword with hidden magic. A product of the age of the gods. Magic sword Siegfried. Really that a magic sword? Compared to something like this, the sticks around here that fell in the age of the gods have a lot more magic hidden in them. Must be one of those high copy I heard from Rimuru. Yeah, that must be it. While it is said to be a product of the age of the gods, it must be a fake. A true magic sword has a will. And even the owner is undermined by its enormous magical power. And it seems the word magic sword has also come to be treated quite lightly. First, let's just put out that candle. Asterisk blows some air asterisk. Wow. I didn't even need to use a magic circle to blow it away. And now that commotion is here, let's amplify some voices that would break this guy's spirit. I can't believe it. He extinguished the flames of the magic sword Siegfried, an ancient flame that is said to never go out until the end of the world. And I didn't even see a magic circle unfold. Wow, that sword is way more famous than I thought, but looks like Zeps doesn't want to believe reality. No way, sealing magic. What, I just blew it out. Even with the amount of magic hidden in that sword, well, it will light the flames again in a few years. Zeps has a bitter expression. Seal magic, command magic. It certainly seems like you have talent at those magic at a tremendous level, but apparently the magic you use isn't suitable for combat. And you can't do anything to me since I have this armor with me. The armor looks like I will have to shatter that armor if I want to break his spirit. I don't think I'll be proud, even if I break it through. Are you scared? No. I have an interesting suggestion. In the first place, it's wrong for you and me to be in the same position. Zeps glares at me, but this time he didn't do anything or came running at me. Looks like he still has a brain. Since he looks like having trouble, I will give you a little handicap. I won't move from my spot. I won't even deploy a magic circle or imbued mana into my words or breath. Hell, I won't even use my hands, feet, or even my hair to attack you. But even without that, I will defeat you. Would you like to try now, clown smirk? Anos said with his usual condescending tone. How good do you think you are? You lowlife, do you think bluffing would make you win against me? Just admit it that you have no chance to cook asterisk vomits blood asterisk. What the hell, how? Zeps mumbled as he looks around to see how he was injured, only to be met with Anos' widening smirk. Did you hear it now? Asked Anos. Hear what? Asked Zeps instinctively. Then he heard a thud sound, and my heart beat. That's all Zeps heard when he was bombarded with ultra-high sound waves that kept damaging his internal organs. Blood started dripping from his body, while various cut marks appeared. Zeps felt pain he never felt before in his whole life. While his whole body was injured, the armor was still intact without any damage, while underneath his whole body was injured. This proves how much mastery Anos had over his magic control. While in the audience, although they didn't see how Zeps was injured so quickly, they all thought Anos did something unbelievable. This further makes the students have a great fear against Anos in their minds. After the whole ordeal, Zeps looked at Anos tiredly and asked how. Anos smiled, said, "Very simple actually, my heartbeat was full of magical power, and that sound shook your body violently. Even when you wears anti-demon armor, it's not perfect. There were many gaps in the anti-magic formation, and my heartbeat passed through them." More blood erupting from all over his body. Zeps fell to his knees and fell forward. Seeing his opponent down, Anos nodded his head and was about to go when a voice stopped him. "Wait, you bastard. I'm not done with you yet." Surprised that he is still conscious, Anos looked back to see Zeps looking at him with hatred and was crawling towards him, because he had no more strength to get back up. If you don't get medical treatment quickly, you may die, right? So give up, will ya? Anos asked, curiously wondering what this fellow is up to. Asterisk, heavy breathing asterisk, to inherit the blood of the founder, but not being able to deliver the finishing blow to an enemy. I will not do such a thing and bring disgrace to this demon king nobility and the founder, Zeps said, while during his long breaths. Do those guys think they actually have inherited the blood of the demon king? And what do you mean by shame? How does any of this has to with me, your founder? Anos wondered confusingly. Stop talking so much, or you'll die. Anos said dismissively. Kill me. A small fry like you is not worth killing. Seriously, what's his problem? Huh. You can't do it, can you? Then you fail. Try to make me give up if you can. Even if I die, I won't give up, Zep said while he has huge misunderstanding in his head. I can use compulsion magic and alter his mind into giving up, but Anos couldn't continue his thoughts when he heard. I know what you're thinking. You'll use compulsion magic on me. That's fine. Try it. I won't give up. Ha ha. Fuha. Gah. Zep's laughter was interrupted when a foot landed on his face. Interesting suggestions, Worm. But aren't you full of yourself? Where could you get such confidence? Asked Anos while rubbing his foot on Zep's face harder. He did say one interesting thing, though. Anos mused. So you're saying that if I don't use compulsion magic, I can't make you give up now, was it? Anos asked, still rubbing his foot harder on poor Zep's face. It's true. You piece of shit, Zep said weakly. Even with me standing on his head, he is still talking big. Looks like I go a little rough on him. You're pretty amusing. Very well. It's my victory if I make you give up without using compulsion magic, and you win if I can't. Am I missing something in here? HAA. You sure? You sure do talk big. Even if I die, I won't give up? Zep said definitely. Very well, then let's seal it with a contract then, Anos said, smiling widely. Soon a unique magic circle appeared between Anos and Zeps. This is a contract magic circle, which is also known as Zect. This magic Manly uses to bind contracts and insurance for the two parties that each of them do their part at the end of the bargain. This spell created in ancient times, even before Anos was born. It is said that this was one of the few spells that were created in the beginning of creation. This spell is also a universal spell, which means it is used by all the races without any conflict. Due to its importance, this spell was never lost in ancient times, unlike some other spells. When a magic circle glowed white and disappeared marked that the contract was completed. And since the contract was created using your magic power, you can't lie and give false promises. You're an idiot. No matter how much you hurt me, I won't give up. At best, I'll feel sorry for you. Ha 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 ha. Zeps laughed, loudly, already thinking he won this match. Anos said nothing, but walked near Zeps, brought his fingers near his forehead. Oh, what's that going to do? Zeps asked in a bewildered tone, but he wasn't able to finish his sentence when Anos flicked his forehead with his finger. God, Zeps' whole body disappears. It looks like that was too much for him, even though I held back a lot. Well, can't have him die permanently. That would make me lose this little bet. Anos mumbled and pricked his finger for a drop of blood to drop on the floor. The magic circle appeared beneath Anos, and he said, Ingle. As soon as said it, a fully intact Zeps appeared from the magic circle. The crowd was stunned. They first saw the gruesome scene of Zeps' body exploding when Anos flicked his finger. Then the next moment, they saw him resurrecting Zeps. But what most of them were stunned is that Anos performed one of the lost ancient spells like Ingle like it was nothing. One had to know performing an ancient spell have 50% chance of backfiring on the caster. While the crowd was stunned in one of the many waiting rooms meant for the participants. Rimuru, who was looking at the direction where Anos' test is being held, has an incredulous look on her face. While waiting for her test to start, she got bored, so used her universal detection to search for something interesting. So when she saw Anos walking to the stage, and his opponent was none other than that person who she forgot about, she was quite curious how things will turn out. To which leads the situation in the present. Hey Ciel, is it me, or is Anos getting dumber from each second? Negative Master, I, too, am starting to believe the same. You know, right? I mean, who is he trying to fool? He himself knows his physical strength far surpass any demon, even in the old days. I think he's experiencing his childhood in this life, so his mind may be a bit amateur. That better be the reason, or I will make sure to give a piece of my mind to him. At that moment, Anos felt chills running all over his body. He felt as if he just escaped from a death sentence. As he was about to use magic to find out who was making him afraid, he was broken out of his thoughts when the crowd got noisy. What was that magic? The dead Zeps was revived from it. He brought the dead back to life. Such magic surpasses common sense. Anos looked at the crowd weirdly and thought, why are they surprised? Is it a big deal for them get noisy over Zeps being revived? If I couldn't use this magic, death would really mean death. He then looked at the now revived Zeps, who looking around, trying to find out what happened. He didn't even notice how his earlier wounds were healed. How's it feel dying once? Feel like giving up yet? Anos asked him again, so he could end it quickly. Idiot, who's giving up? Jaya. Again he was interrupted when Anos flicked his forehead and he dies again. Oops, I killed him again. Oh well, as long as it's within 3 seconds, Ingel can bring him back without any risk. It's the 3-second rule. The silence from the arena washed over me like a wave. Anos looked around, seeing his joke was not funny to the audience, felt a little awkward. He even almost heard Rimuru's angry shout how she was going to have a very long talk with him later, but he thought it was his imagination, so brushed it off. As expected, after 2,000 years of even the humor is changed. Actually, looking closely, everyone looks terrified. Is my joke that bad? Look like I have to restrain my jokes until I understand this age's humor. Sighing, Anos again cast Ingel again. Again the magic circle appears, and Zeps is revived again. But unlike the first time, where he was confused, now he has a terrified expression. Seeing his expression, Anos thought, is he starting to feel it? This much shouldn't become a trauma for him, right? What Anos said might be true in the mythical era, but he forgot that even resurrection magic is a myth, so dying once is already a traumatic for a normal demon, much less of a spoiled noble like Zeps who didn't know pain. You said you wouldn't give up even if you died. Surely you didn't think your life would end with only one death. At this time, even the audience had chills running on their spine. They couldn't believe that someone would be this brutal to their enemies when this is not even a war. But they surely underestimated Anos' cruelty when he was not even trying to anything. Now would you like to give up? Asked Anos impatiently, as he could sense whatever made him scared as began to come towards him, as he could feel his instincts screaming him to run away quickly. At first Zeps was about to give up, but then his pride got in the way, and his eyes shoved cruelty and thirst for revenge, so tried to threaten Anos again, and he was killed. As Anos was simply getting bored, he asked a question. By the way, Ingel has an interesting philosophy behind it. After you revive, are you the original, or are you a copy of the original with the same personality and memories? Or could you be a completely new person? What do you think? Can you say the answer with your experience? While he was asking, Zeps was being killed and revived over and over. Normally no one would be saying to hear his question, but Zeps actually heard every last word of it. After 20 or 30 times, Anos let Zeps rest by not killing him instantly. A sound of chattering teeth can be heard from Zeps' shaking lips. His face is completely pale. The bastard. Such cruel behavior. Fumu, not interested, I see. In my era, this was a hot topic for debate. Anos said, while thinking, damn, give up, already bringing you back requires a drop of blood every time, and it's annoying to prick my finger each time with regeneration factor healing it after 1 second. Well, let's start killing you again, Anos said with an innocent smile. Why? Talk about killing so easily. Haha, I may have awoken something new today, Anos thought while still having that innocent smile. What's this? You said something so modest all of a sudden. Being dead doesn't really mean death, you know. He then extended his finger towards Zeps. PL, please wait. Oops. Crap. My finger slipped, and I killed him by mistake. He was trying to say something as well. Oh dear. Let's revive him again. Bob bastard. I told you to wait. Haha, sorry about that. It's just that my finger slipped, so don't take it hard, okay? Anos said while awkwardly scratching his head. Ha, my ass. Shit. How do you kill someone carelessly? Zeps said, wondering how much of psychopathic did he encounter. Though he didn't say it to his face. Anos felt that Zeps was thinking something bad about him, so he thought to punish him a little more. Oh, you seem a lot better now. Well then, one more time. Saying so, he brought his finger to Zeps' forehead again, and his eyes immediately lose all color and shine. Please wait, Zeps said weakly. What is it? Anos asked, although he has idea of what he has to tell. Hell, even a child could tell what he has to say, seeing his face. With an expression stained with humiliation, Zeps said finally. It's my defeat. I give up. You didn't last long playing our game. I was intending to kill you at least 10,000 times. Anos said that as a joke with a smile to show that there's no hostility, but Zeps, who heard that, trembles like he was sentenced to death. That Zeps was handled like a child, said one from the audience. To overwhelming, who is that guy? I've never seen his face before, exclaimed another. Voices like that started leaking out from the seating area. Zeps and Du has surrendered winner Arno's Voldegod, said the owl judge, ignoring the crowd. Along with the owl's words, the barrier disappeared, which Anos completely forget about, since to him, no barrier can lock him. Something strange, though. My name has been declared, which is the same as the Demon King Arno's, but nobody is reacting at all. Anos confusedly. He thought after his name was announced there would be an uproar. Have a lot of foolish people taken the name of the Demon King in the past, so nobody thinks anything of it anymore. He speculated while trying to find the real reason, as he had gut feeling telling him that there's more that meets the eye. It would be troublesome if I became too famous, but I also want to prove my abilities. His thoughts were conflicting with each other. Even in his early days, he liked to show off in front of others, as he was always beaten when he tried to compete with Rimuru. It was a good match. As he had his idly thoughts, he went towards Zeps to thank his rival, as it is proper etiquettes. Bob, bastard, stop looking down on me. I'll remember this. While Zeps, instead of taking his hand, slapped it away while running away. Anos can also wagely see his hand twitching. Is it because he was scared, or is that how he normally runs? Anos didn't know. Anos took back his hand and looked at Zeps's departing figure and shrugged his shoulders and thought. He certainly failed because of me, but I didn't kill him. Can't he just try again next year? If it was in the mythical era, he will return home healthy and come back to fight me again. At those times, many Mizoku found happiness and shed tears of gratitude for this, as this helps them improve faster than anything. After a 10-minute break, you will fight your next opponent. I'll judge, said to Anos. Unnecessary. I don't need a 10-minute break. That last fight wasn't even a warm-up. I'll actually get tired from having so much free time, and I only got another 4 people to beat, which is fine since in those days I'd fight 100 people every day without any breaks, he thought internally. By proposal of Arno's Voldegod, the break will be omitted. The judge didn't stop him, as he was used to these kind of arrogant requests from people who tried to chew more than they can. Like that, another 4 people witnessed the abnormality of the Demon King of Tyranny. While this is happening at Rimuru's side, it's that cliché situation, isn't it, Ciel? Rimuru asked, amused. The probability of it happening is 97%, Ciel replied. Oh, why is it only at 97% and not 100%? You can clearly see the hate in that dude's eyes, and didn't you notice how some people in the special area are trying to control their emotions so they don't jump on Anos to beat him up right there and now? Asked Rimuru curiously, since she was sure Zeps would try to gang up on Anos to wash his shame. I speculate that this situation would not go as Master imagined it to be, Ciel said provokingly. Oh, then, Ciel, why don't we have a bet then? The winner will serve as a maid for the other for one day. What do you say, Ciel, up for the challenge? Said Rimuru, sure of his victory, as Ciel tend to lose most of the bets they made. We will see, Master, Ciel said ominously. Like that, nothing special happened during the practical test. Anos won 4 matches repeatedly. Rimuru also won the practical exam in her division in flying colors. She single-handedly defeated her opponents with magic without giving them enough time to prepare. This, although gained her a lot of attention, didn't make her abnormal, as since this chaos generation has some more people like her. When all the practical exams ended, everyone was sent to a large hall. The hall was like every building made from stone pillars and has fantasy theme to it. But there was large gray crystal and a same-size mirror in the center of the hall. Many people came from the different doors that were located in different directions, presumably the winners of the practical exams in each division. Anos and Rimuru spotted each other instantly and came together to find Misha, since Rimuru felt her unique aura. Anos was the first one to find her, though, so he called out for her. Yo, Misha. The girl turns around with her long platinum blonde hair shaking gently. She came towards their group. Although you said you were not good at fighting, you seem to have broken through the practical test. Anos asked, amused, since she at the beginning said that she was not a good fighter. By chance? To this answer, both had different thoughts. So, she says, but it would be impossible to beat 5 people by chance. Unexpectedly, she might be more powerful than Zeps, and the others, Anos thought, while Rimuru thought, you didn't them any chance since you freeze them before they could even register it, Rimuru thought while sweat dripping. By the way, what's happening now? Anos asked, although he had a vague idea of what they are about to do, but wasn't sure. But he was shocked to see the 2 blank stares directed at him. He thought maybe asking them might have been the wrong decision. Rimuru sighed while rubbing her head and said, Anos, I know you like to act all high and mighty all the time, but did you not even try to find out about the new things that are popular nowadays when you went out of the house? Anos scratched his face while having a wry smile. Rimuru sighed again and stretched her hand to the side where a portal appeared, and her hand went through it for a few seconds, and she retracted it. Unlike earlier, she now has a magazine in her hand, which she shoved to Anos and said exasperatedly, Here is a magazine that has all the new things that were invented and some common sense for the reincarnated people who were born from the mythical era. And when I say reincarnated people, I mean you, since only you were important enough for your descendants to actually publish this magazine. I even heard that royals make their children to memorize these contexts, as they believe that one of them will become your vessel. Anos looked dumbfounded at the magazine, which Rimuru shoved right in his face. He saw that the cover had a picture of his old castle, Demon Castle Delsgade, as its front cover. It also read how to blend in with the current era. He looked at it for a while and had a thoughtful look in his eyes, thoughts that only he could understand. While Anos is in his own thoughts, Rimuru is right now having a very serious conversation with Ciel. So, Ciel, tell me, how much magic power should I show in this exam? Rimuru asked seriously, because unlike the practical exam, where you could win with your intelligence, in this exam is where you shine the most, since the Academy pays extra attention for students with high magic power. And since Rimuru is mainly here for fun, she doesn't necessarily want to attract that much attention to here without any good reason. While Rimuru is very serious, Ciel answered without any seriousness, which is very unlike Ciel. Don't worry, Master, I have already made preparations for you. I will adjust your magic power, so you don't need anything but place your hand in the stone. Rimuru was visibly confused about Ciel's behavior, but decided to trust like usual. If you pass the practical exam, you are admitted. All that's left is magic power measurement and an aptitude test. Read Anos, and then looked around and asked, Then all these people are our classmates? No, since some would drop out after seeing their magic power and apply for a different field, said Misha. Anos nodded and looked around again to check around again. He saw everyone's state is odd. Nobody will make eye contact with him. The moment he meet their eyes, they look away as if frightened. What's this? Why is everyone so shy? Asked Anos curiously. I don't think that's it, Misha said, shaking her head. But nobody will look at me. He asked, unable to find another reason. They are frightened by your fight, Arnos. What do you mean? Said Anos while looking at Rimuru, who sighed and said, They are scared that a brutal demon would set his eyes on them as his next prey. Said Rimuru exasperatedly. Anos then asked, What do you mean, and were you in that audience when I was fighting? No successful participates, and watch the recorded video of how others won, said Misha. And Rimuru asked, Did you really not get it? Narrowing her eyes. Anos shakes his head and said, No, I didn't even use any dark magic and didn't torture him while healing him, and I only used Ingle, and that's not even with a fear buff. Rimuru has tick mark on her forehead, and she is now on the verge of beating Anos till he collapses. She coldly said, You little piece of shit, did you forget that in the peaceful era where there is no wars, no one would use Ingle, which is a rare spell even in those days, and no one would come and torture you for fun? Is your brain so damaged that you forgot some common sense? And did you even read that book properly? Because I kind of remember there being a paragraph saying that resurrection magic is one of the lost magic in these days. And looks like I need to educate it myself, so get ready. Anos is sweating heavily now. He won't say it out loud, but he would rather fight Matilda, the creation goddess, rather than training with Rimuru. He still remembers the days when he blew his castle because of a sneeze and killed half of his people. And so Rimuru came and started disciplining him about how he should always control his own magic. And as for the people, he revived them the next moment. He was then also disciplined about something again that he did while reviving the dead, but he seems to have forgotten it due to how much of a trauma that memory is. But as luck is on his side, the announcer shouted, "Form a line in front of the crystal and place a hand on it. Then pour some of your magic power for the mirror to show your total magic power capacity." Rimuru and other looked around, and so it was the same owl that was the judge for the practical exam. And seeing the people moving, they also walked towards the crystal, which already has a big line formed. One by one, people began to measure their own magic power. Curious Anos used magic to increase his eyesight and hearing. He then saw numbers appearing in the mirror: 126, 218, 98, 145. The owl that was sitting in front of the mirror and reads out the numbers for everyone to hear. To be able to turn into numbers something that I could only tell through my senses before. This is truly a convenient age. Anos thought, inwardly happy that the piece he brought was the correct choice. In front of him, Rimuru thought, so they're making everyone's place clear by announcing their magic power numbers? Or is it there's someone who is reporting them to the nobles for some reason? Narrowing her eyes, seeing a group of people in the corner taking pictures and writing something. Normally there wouldn't be caught because of the barrier to make them invisible, but all of that is useless in front of her eyes. She decided to investigate this later. It only takes several minutes to get a reading from everyone, and soon enough, it was Misha's turn. "Do your best," said Anos and Rimuru. The ever-present deadpan expression. Misha looked at Rimuru and Anos and nodded her head cutely. Then she walked up to the crystal and touched and poured some of her power to it. After that, numbers started to be displayed in the mirror after several seconds. 100,246. "Oh, she's quite good," remarked Anos. Rimuru nodded her head, since till Misha came the highest score was only in 3 digits, so in this era Misha could be said to be a heaven-defying talent. After her evaluation, she stepped down and went near Anos and Rimuru. Rimuru, seeing her coming, said, "You sure are strong, Misha, with this amount of magic power. You could basically do any spell you desire," and praised her. Anos said nothing but smiled and nodded his head as to agree with Rimuru. After listening to Rimuru's praises, Misha became a little bit shy and looked down. She mumbled, "Arnos and Rimuru is more amazing." Did you say something, Misha?" Anos asked, since Rimuru went to get her evaluation. She shakes her head, denying to say any further. While with Rimuru, all I have to do is touch the crystal, right, Ciel? "Yes, master. I will do this, so don't worry." As the usual procedure, Rimuru touched the crystal, but unlike others, the crystal glowed brightly for a few moments, and then became normal after that stupefied owl's voice entered everyone's ears. There was a deafening silence. Rimuru's mind went blank for a moment, unable to process what just happened. But quickly he got to his senses and activated thought acceleration to the maximum limit and started to argue with Ciel. "Ciel, what hell did you do that for? Didn't I tell you that I don't want any unnecessary trouble by gaining more attention? And now you go around telling people my magic power is infinite, which is true, but that's not the point. Now you tell me, why did you do that?" shouted Rimuru, panicking about what to do. "Master, you said you wouldn't want to get any attention without a valid reason," said Ciel without any concern. "Oh, so do tell me the valid reason you thought off," Rimuru asked in a calm voice, too calm, if you ask me. "Master is a true dragon now, which is a race that is in the top of the food chain. Also, we know that Anos' result will be abnormal. So, as his teacher, Master must have even extraordinary," said Ciel righteously. Rimuru almost believed Ciel, keyword almost. "So the real reason?" asked Rimuru. "Tisk," said Ciel, realizing her master didn't drop the matter at hand. "Now don't tisk me, Ciel. Tell me the real reason you made me the center of attention," asked Rimuru again. "I want Master look cool," said Ciel dejectedly. Rimuru sighs at this. Even after all these years, she still couldn't understand Ciel's dedication to make her look cool in various ways. The game where they served and made outfits was also her idea. At that time, Rimuru agreed to it, since Ciel used one of the many favors she owned from Rimuru to make him agree. Still, how in hell did wearing a maid outfit seen as being cool? wondered Rimuru. Fine, I will let this slide for now, said Rimuru dejectedly. She could already see Ciel doing a gut pose in the back of her mind. Sighing again, she braced herself for impending storm with this magic power results and deactivated her thought acceleration. The silence was broken by a student questioning. "Excuse me, but what does that symbol say?" To this, everyone looked at the owl, who was also the judge, answer, but unfortunately, that is a futile attempt, as because... Error, the owl said. The owl is a familiar that was not an option, as it was only made to follow certain instructions, as an AI would. Though it wouldn't be any difference, even if they contact the master of this owl. Tisk, I miscalculated a little. It appears that this universe does not know this infinity sign. Although Rimuru's face didn't change, she is now dancing around internally due to two reasons. One being she didn't get more unnecessary attention, and last being able to see Ciel's face of regret when all her plan she made was all blown away due to one miscalculation. Seeing that they wouldn't get an answer, all the people decided to hold back their curiosity. And Rimuru went away, letting the next person and last Anos to enter for his turn. Anos POV. After Rimuru left, I went near the crystal to start my exam. I touched the magic crystal. This is my first experience of having my magic power measured. I wonder what it will be. Perhaps it will exceed 100 million? If that's the case, then the people of this age have severely dulled. With this, they should understand that I am the founder, right? Since in the mythical era, I was the one with the most magic power. 0. As the owl speaks, a noise rings out, and the crystal breaks into pieces. The measurements have finished. Please proceed to the aptitude tests. I think the crystal wasn't the only one that was broken, I thought dryly. POV end. After the owl's announcement, the people began to head towards the next and last test for them to be enrolled in the Demon King Academy. The Demon King Aptitude Test. While everyone is going, 3 people were staying and having various expressions. Well, mostly 2, since Misha still has no expression in her pretty face. Anos looks like he was told that his whole life is lie, while Rimuru is trying hard not to laugh out loud. After struggling for 4 minutes, she couldn't contain anymore, and she laughed out loud while almost rolling over the ground. Anos snapped at this, almost wanted to battle Rimuru to the death by summoning his sword, but stopped after remembering that he couldn't even scratch her. Sighing, he tried to calm down his mind and ignore Rimuru for his own mental health. After Rimuru seems to calm down, Anos turned to the owl that was still here and said, I know I'm the one saying it, but I think 0 is impossible, since that would mean I can't use magic at all. The measurements have finished. Please proceed to the aptitude test, said Owl without even missing a beat. Asterisk tisk, asterisk this useless familiar, grumbled Anos. The familiar is just obeying orders. Misha says to him. Well, I guess so, said Anos dejectedly. He then felt someone looking at him. He turned to the source and saw Misha staring at him. What's wrong? Inquired Anos. First time I've seen it, Misha said, astonished. What? Well, the magic power is so strong, the crystal broke, continued Misha. Oh, Rimuru looked at Misha intrigued. She internally thought her demonic eyes are very powerful for her to see that Anos' magic power completely destroyed the crystal due to its destructive property. Anos also used his demon eyes on the broken crystal fragments. After analyzing its structure, he found that it seems that the crystal enlarges in response to the power of the person touching it. The volume that it has enlarged by is then measured and converted into a numerical value. He exceeded its limit, causing an intense magic reaction. Also, due to the property of his magic power, the crystal shattered. Though it is a convenient thing, it's not possible to use it to measure my power, said Anos, grumbling. It's not 0. The decision should have been immeasurable. But since that owl doesn't care, you are stuck as 0, said Rimuru, chuckling. Misha nodded, but said, but breaking the crystal just with magic power is impossible. Why? Asked Anos. The magic crystal does not break, said Misha. It broke, said Rimuru. Misha responded in an indifferent tone of voice. Anos and Rimuru are out of the norm. Hey, why did I get involved into this? Complained Rimuru. Hey, why did I get caught into this mess? Complained Rimuru. Misha stared at her for a few minutes and said, Yes, you and Anos are out of the norm. Anos has more magic power than all of the students combined. Oh, how could you say that? Anos asked curiously, completely missing Rimuru's expression of saying, "Are you serious?" My demonic eyes are special, so I could see someone's magic power if they are not actively restraining it. So when you touch the crystal and let your magic power flow, I got a glimpse of your full capacity. But asterisk turned to Rimuru, asterisk, even though I'm proud of my demon eyes, I couldn't see her whole magic power capacity, which is impossible. Said Misha. Rimuru just awkwardly laughs at us. Well, you can't see it because Ciel manages my power output, so there's no leakage. And since there's no leakage, you can't track it to its source, which is my full power capacity. Even if he manages to find the source, you can't get a glimpse of it due to the seals me and seal placed, so in case I accidentally release my aura, and in everything. Some people will understand what it means to break the crystal, but even so, it's still supposed to be almost impossible. Continued Misha, ignoring Rimuru. Yer. There's supposed to be talented people running this academy. And if I'm being fair, I suppose they would never have guessed that someone with enough power to break the crystal would turn up for the entrance exam, said Rimuru sarcastically, while Anos, who's strangely quiet, is in his own world. So, the founder of the Demon King is about to be a laughingstock at his own kingdom because my descendants have no good demonic eyes, and that's mainly because of the peace I died for. Anybody who was born in the mythical era would shock to see that the very Demon King, who even made the gods tremble before his tyranny, is having a mental breakdown due to not having high number in his test. Well, like always, there's exception. Rimuru, seeing Anos's thoughts, said, "You are being a bit childish, getting obsessed over these numbers. And it's not like your magic power has decreased at all, and isn't fine because Misha knows." Anos mechanically looked at Misha, who, despite having her usual poker face, nodded a little vigorously. As for the reason, only she knows. Thank you, Misha. You're welcome. Equals 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 equals. Do we need to go to that room over there now? Misha nods. After their discussion, all of them decided to follow the others to enter into another hall where a large number of magic formations are created. Please stand in the center of the magic formation to start the aptitude test. The owl, who was already sitting on top of a stone statue, said. One by one, students began to enter each magic circle. Good luck, said Misha as she went to an empty magic circle. You too, Rimuru and Anos replied, while each going to their respected magic circles. As they all are in position, they heard a voice in their head. In this aptitude test, we measure your thoughts against the cruelty of the Demon King. In addition, we perform a simple test on your knowledge of the Demon King. We are reading your thoughts, so cheating will not be permitted. While they're only using the low-rank spell, Lycus, that is used to transmit one's thoughts which are on the surface of the mind, and they expect no one to cheat. Sire, these guys too naive or too prideful to learn something else. Rimuru thought idly, since she is sure that Ciel wouldn't let any mental magic enter her. And, as she expected, Ciel didn't let it. Master, I can have a different test for you since I cannot let some nobody's spell to enter your mind. So do you mind, or would you like to do something else? Hey, Ciel, why don't we hack into the system and see how the others are answering the questions first? I'm kind of curious how much had they exaggerated the news of their so-called founder. As you wish, Master. Let's first see Anos's test. Then let's begin. It is said to be wrong to call the name of the Demon King, but please state the Demon King's name. Anos, without any hesitation, said, Anos Voldegod. In the Age of Myth, the founder destroyed Delsgade using Geograze. As a result, all of Delsgade was burnt to the ground, and many Mazoka lives were lost. Why did he perform such an act of violence? What were the founder's feelings at the time? FOMO. What a nostalgic story. The answer to why I used Geograze on Delsgade was that I was half asleep. At that time, I was in the middle of a long battle with the hero cannon. I wanted to sleep, but I couldn't relax for even a moment. I had to be in a state constant battle readiness. Thanks to that, I fell into a half-sleep state and thought I was fighting cannon and used Geograze by accident. And this question is slightly wrong, however. Certainly, Delskade turned into scorched earth, but not a single Mazoka died. Even though I was half asleep, my magic control was still perfect. I turned the country into ash, but made it so the Mazoka were not affected by the spell. If I couldn't do this much, I wouldn't be a demon king, replied Anos. You defy mass murder, even though that was the creed of the founder. Describe why was this the correct reason for the demon king? Well, this is a trick question. A person who defies mass murder. I don't remember ever making mass murder my creed. If I don't have to kill someone, I won't. However, in that age, helping people usually involved killing. That was the only reason, replied Anos. Moving on. Next question, Dash. Rimuru stopped listening to Anos's exam. After all, she was finding hard to stop laugh out loud. After all the answers Anos said, and ones listed in the books, are like heaven and earth. They even said that he destroyed a mountain out of anger only for it to be out of a sneeze he had. And so the aptitude test continues. Anos, as usual, answers the most absurd ones. After 30 minutes later, the aptitude test is finished and Rimuru and Anos left the room together. While they were chatting and walking home, they say Misha is standing near the gate without doing anything and staring off into empty space. What are you doing? Asked Anos curiously. She turned to him, as with her usual expressionless face, and said, I waited for both of you. For us? Asked Rimuru in surprise. Misha nods and continued, You told me to see you later. Hey, since you are here, why don't you come to my place for some dinner? Said Anos with a smile. To him, Misha is someone who he can call as his first friend after his reincarnation. As for Rimuru, she is his family. Although he wouldn't say it, he respects Rimuru more than he shows due to how much of help she did when he was just a child. He still remembers when he was 3 years old surviving in the war zone, she appeared. Even at that time, she was on a vacation, trying to find something interesting. An interesting thing she did found. She found a 3-year-old boy who was born with the concept of destruction. Curious, she observed the boy for almost a day. She found that he was like every other kid craving for parental love, but didn't get it due to some reason. So he had to mature up fast to survive in that war zone era. And Rimuru always had a soft spot for children. So from that day, she came into the life of the little boy and made him to be the demon king he is. Snapping out of his thoughts, Anos looked at Rimuru with a grateful look to which she had a questioning gaze, and said to Misha, So what do you say? It will be a celebration for passing, or do you want to go out somewhere else and have some fun? Though she's as deadpan as ever, it appears like she's puzzled a bit. With me? Yeah. Is that okay? Asked Misha hopefully. Yeah, I'm inviting you. Anos shrugged, not knowing that Misha has no friends at her age, was excited to finally have some fun with friends. Wait for a bit, I shall contact my guardians and come right away. Misha walked a bit away and made a hand sign, and a magic circle appeared. She then began to talk to it, as using a telephone. Rimuru and Anos watched this with a smile, and Rimuru said, While I never thought that you had it in you to ask a girl to come to your parents' house when you just met her today, Anos replied, It's not that big of a deal, you know, and did you notice how her eyes started to twinkle when I said about having some fun together? I may be a demon king, but even I can't let such expectation die, because if I couldn't say the right words. Rimuru examined him for a few seconds and said, Wow, after your reincarnation, you seem to have let go of your pride and ego a little. Anos said nothing but smiled. Well, if we overlook the small veins that popped in his head to her comment. My arrogance is nothing compared to your overgrown ego, he thought, but didn't voice his opinion. He has enough experience to know that whatever he argued would come back to bite him in the ass in the future. After a few minutes, Misha came back to their little group with her usual deadpan expression while her eyes are still glistening. I got permission from my guardians, so let's go. I can also use fewers if we are a little late. Although going home while using fewers / in-flight magic would be amusing, I have a better option, so hold my hand tightly. While Misha was confused, she did what she was told and came and held my hand. Seeing she is in his arm's distance, Anos began to construct the magic circle that slowly began to appear under his and strangely Rimuru's feet, who also came close to him. After the magic circle was complete, he said, I'm ready. Hold my hand harder. Understood. Misha strengthened her grip on his hand. While curiously, eyeing the new magic circle she never seen before. A magic circle began to emit a blinding light, and the scenery in front of them was dyed a pure white. The next moment, they appeared in front of a blacksmith and appraiser's shop called Solarwind. It's a wooden house with the 2 floors, while second being Anos family's living area. "We've arrived. This is my house," Anos said happily to his guest, but while guest Misha is still staring at the signboard in front of them with her mouth opening and closing like fish who needs water. Her facial expression didn't change even now, but anyone can see how surprised she is. "What kind of magic is this?" "Oh, it's Gatum. A spell that is used connects 2 spaces and allows for instantaneous movement." Misha closes her mouth, then opens it again and mutters some words quietly. "Lost magic. Oh, he appeared to have done it again. Better change the subject quick." Rimuru, who heard Misha's muttering, quickly said, "Hey, let's go in quickly. I'm hungry, you know," while giving Anos a look that said, "Do as I say if you don't want to complicate things." Anos hurriedly nodded and opened the while dragging the poor Misha, who still didn't let go of his hand. The doorbell of the shop sounded with a clang-clang when Anos opened the door. "Welcome. Arnos-chan, welcome back." From inside came Isabella with her usual apron on. She came running near Anos and began to hug while rubbing their cheeks against each other. After enjoying her time a little, she took her face away from his and asked nervously, "How'd it go?" "I passed," said Anos with his usual cocky smile. Isabella's face lit up, and she began to hug him again, while this time a little bit tighter. "Congratulations. Congratulations, Arnos-chan. That's amazing. To get into the academy after just 1 month. You're so clever, Arnos-chan. I'll make a feast tonight. I will look forward to it," said Anos neutrally, but excitement in his voice. While the mother and son are bonding together, Misha looked at this with a surprised expression and asked Rimuru, "Is his mother always like that?" Rimuru chuckled and said, "Yes, she is. In fact, she's quite tame now." Hearing their discussion, Isabella turned towards them. When her gaze went to Rimuru, she beamed more happily. She quickly let go of Anos and ran towards her and hugged her like Anos. "Rimuru-chan, you came too. Did you also pass the exam like Anos?" "Knowing you, you definitely passed right?" Seeing her enthusiasm, Rimuru just nodded while smiling wryly. After answering a round of questions, Isabella finally calmed down to notice the other guest she forgot. She then threw Anos a questioning gaze. Mother, this my guest who I invited to have dinner. Her name is Misha Necron. I met her today at the academy." Anos then introduced Misha, who went behind Anos for cover when Isabella decided to attack Rimuru with her unlimited motherly love. "Nice to meet you," Misha said meekly, like kitten who is afraid to be scolded by her mother. Seeing Misha, Isabella looked surprised and covered her mouth while stuttering. Arnos-chan has. Then in a surprised voice, she yells out, "My Arnos-chan has already bought a bride. My Arnos-chan has already bought a bride." Isabella's voice echoes throughout the house. To this, the other 3 people had various reaction. Misha tilts her head to one side and asks softly, "Is that me?" While Rimuru trying hard not to laugh out loud. Anos has a hand over his face while replying, "No. Sorry about this, Misha. She tend to misunderstood way too much." "Hey, mother, stop jumping to misleading conclusions." "I see," said Misha. It's fine, Arnos-chan. Arnos-chan's happiness is my happiness." Mother does not object. She says in tears before wiping the corner of her eyes. "What on earth is going on in your head, Mother? What illusions are running around in there?" "I'm afraid to hear the answer," Anos thought internally. Rimuru, who was able to calm down a little, said weakly, "Anos, you should prepare yourself. This is only the beginning." Anos felt dread coming over him and used his senses to find someone, but it was too late. The door to the workshop was thrown open with a bang. "Arnos, good job. As expected. You're a man now. This is bad. My father has joined my mom now. I need to calm these 2 down before they destroy my image," Anos thought worriedly. But he was unable to move. Just as he was struggling, he saw that his nightmares were about to be through. "Looking back, I remember that you were just born the other day." Anos's father, Gusta, puts on a pose and stares out of the window while trying to look cool. Papa knew that this day would come, but the time still feels a little short. Ha ha while crying. No, this is a joyous occasion. Isabella, tonight is a feast. Let's celebrate loudly, he said after a while, wiping his tears. And I know that, dear. Arnos-chan is starting his new life. His wife Isabella also joined him. Anos at this moment wanted to find a hole, bury himself, and hide for another millennium to escape this embarrassment. And the full-blown laughter of Rimuru did not help either. Listen up, Arnos. The cooking will take about 2 hours. But since Rimuru is also helping, it would tone down one, so you have to hurry up, okay? Even if you let out a loud voice, your mom won't hear it, so do a good job. Saying so, Gusta closed the door to Anos' room, keeping Anos and Misha inside. As for Rimuru, since this is a joyous occasion for Anos' parents, they requested Rimuru, who is a master chief, to help in the cooking. And Rimuru agreed instantly. With her dragged to the kitchen, Gusta pushed the young couple, in Gusta's eyes, to Anos' room for more privacy. And this leads to the present, where two of them are now in an awkward silence. So your parents like to make misunderstandings? Asked Misha to break the silence. I'm sorry, Misha. I'll talk to them later when they've calmed down. And then, Misha said her usual comeback. Looking around the room, she asked. Empty room. Well, we moved into here recently, and I originally didn't have that much luggage with me. Not that I need it since I could make it in Oz thought. I'm truly sorry for my noisy parents. They don't mean anything harmful, so please forgive them, Anos said, apologizing for his parents' behavior again. Misha shakes her head back and forth. I'm used to it. Oh yeah, I kind of remember your father also is a loud person. If today's display say anything, I guess there are some similarities with both of them. Different. Oh, sorry, my bad. Is my parents that worse? Misha shakes her head again. Not my father. Wasn't that your father this morning? Misha shakes her head and said, my foster parent. But what about your biological parents? Anos asked curiously. Busy, Misha said with an almost imperceptible sadness from her monotone voice. I see, Anos said, not knowing what to say. Even in his previous life, even though he didn't have his biological or foster parents, he still had Rimuru and Ciel, who didn't let him drown in his sorrow. But he still had a longing for a parental love, which he got in this life. So that's why he wouldn't let his pride get into his when it comes to his parents. That is his dictation for his parents. Anos, is Rimuru your sibling? Misha suddenly asked, breaking him from his thoughts. He shook his head and asked, why do you say so? Misha took a thinking posture and said, your parents share the same love for you, to Rimuru, and you seem to listen to her like a little brother listened to her older sister. Anos laughed a little and said, ha ha, Misha, you are both correct and incorrect at the same time. Misha tilts her head curiously. Well, Rimuru is not my sibling, but yes, it is true that I look up to her. And it's not wrong to say that she is kind of like my childhood friend. And our family is indebted to Rimuru for all she did to us. Although she may not look like it, Rimuru can rival a very high-ranking noble if we take into account her assets. This house is also one of hers. She rented it to us for a cheap price. And my mother just happened to think of her as her own daughter since she was there with us all the time. Misha nodded in understanding. 1 hour later, thanks for the meal, said everyone as they started to eat the 5-star luxury-like dishes that were lined up in the dining room table. You two really went extreme, huh? Anos commented while serving himself some mushroom gratin, which happened to be his favorite. Haha, your mother was very excited, so we decided to top up our game. And it's not like you're complaining, right? Rimuru asked with a smirk. Anos said nothing but hummed happily while enjoying his mushroom gratin. He looked like a little kid who had his first ice cream. Misha, who was at the side, was also making a similar expression, unlike her usual expressionless face, which shows how much delicious the cooking really is. Fufu. Though Arnos-chan grew so big right away, your face is still like a child when eating. Isabella said happily, seeing Anos enjoying her cooking. Oh, by the way, Misha, what part of Arnos-chan do you like about him? Cough, cough, asterisk, asterisk, cough, asterisk. Anos, who was in a trance, coughed at her mother's question. Damn, I almost forgot about that matter. Due to this heavenly food, he thought internally. Oh, here's some water, drink this. And be careful, okay? Rimuru handed him a cup of water. Thanking her, Anos stared to drink it. His kindness, and he almost spit it in Rimuru's face if not for the barrier she erected. As for his mother, the moment Misha finishes speaking, she strongly makes a fist and said, "Right, that's right. Arnos-chan is so gentle." Arnos-chan was going to come to Durahedo by himself, but knowing we would be lonely, he asked Rimuru for help. Fumo. I see. Is this what's called having a doting parent? It's my first time experiencing it. It's quite embarrassing if she keeps mentioning my black history, Anos thought. Filial piety? Misha said. Right. Misha-chan understands. As expected of the one Arnos-chan chose. Isabella said cheerfully, completely ignoring her son's pleading look to not continue. All right, that's enough now. Let's correct this misunderstanding before she says something that make it even more worse. Please listen, mother, you see. Do you want some more mushroom gratin, Arnos-chan? What? There's some left? Let's have it. Give me. Isabella poured some more mushrooms gratin into Anos's empty bowl. Then he started to devour it, completely forgetting his earlier thoughts. Rimuru, who was eating at the side, thought, "Has expected, not even a demon king of tyranny can win against his own mother." And with that sorted, how did your love with Arnos-chan begin, Misha-chan? Isabella asked with stars shining in her eyes. And with that sorted, how did your love with Arnos-chan begin, Misha-chan? Isabella asked with stars shining in her eyes. The beginning of our love. Misha asked, puzzled. How did you meet? Who called out to who? Who made the first contact? Isabella asked with much enthusiasm that Rimuru thought that she was the kid instead of Anos. Or is it that she likes to gossip about love? She thought internally, while expression didn't change from the sweet smile she is giving Anos. I was spoken to by Arnos, Misha said after remembering their meeting in the morning. Arnos-chan calling out to girls. That womanizer, Isabella said excitedly while whistling Hayu Hayu Now, which somehow brought Anos back to earth from his mushrooms gratin trance. After looking around and remembering his situation, he mumbled, "Good grief," in a low voice. Well, everyone was engroused in the love story to care for him anyway. And what did Arnos-chan say next? Misha looks down and starts thinking and said, "We're both troubled, it seems." Kaiya. Very good. Arnos-chan, if girls are told such a thing, they will fall in one shot. Isabella exclaimed while her husband nodded his head like a father who is proud of his son's achievements. Oh, right, he is like that. How is that cool? Trying to talk to my mother at the moment seems pointless. Let's look for another opening. Besides, there's still some gratin left. I have to eat it while it's still hot. Arg this hard. I have choose between my delicious dinner or my dignity, Anos thought while his head is deciding on what to do. As for Rimuru, whose smile is beginning to grow wider, is thinking, well, damn, this is the best vacation ever. And what was your answer, Misha-chan? Misha just said her usual answer, but Isabella seems to hear differently. Telepathy. Perfect affinity right from the beginning. Oh, is this what people call fated love? As Isabella began to ramble about more bullshit about love, Anos finally fished his meal. He was about to talk some sense into his mother when he heard the most ridiculous thing in his entire existence. Hey, Misha-chan, did you two kiss yet? Come on, tell me. I won't tell anyone, said Isabella as she came near Misha, who was in front of her. No. An immediate came response from Misha, who was either disturbed due to Isabella invading her personal space, or is it something else? I see. You would only do that when you two marry. Oh, how romantic. Oh, in the name of the founding ancestor, I truly wish this couple would have your blessing. There was a silence after her words until Asum decided to break it by a full-blown laughter. Anos, who was motionless, thought, Mother, why is your brain not working today? If Misha said that we didn't kiss in such a hurry, isn't that too suspicious for a couple? And why the hell are you using my name for such nonsense here? After a nice meal, here I have some extra for you to eat at home, Misha, Isabella said as she hands over a basket to Misha, who was leaving. Thank you, Misha said softly as she bowed to Anos's mother. Oh, come on, don't be like that. Just remember to visit us more often. I still have so much more to talk to you about. And if we are lucky, I might even be able to show you the picture book of Anos's childhood. While Misha just nodded to Isabella's comments, another interesting conversation was going on with Anos and his father. Son, I know you must be very excited to have some time with your girlfriend, but for today, don't go anywhere. It is already too late, and these kinds of arrangements must be done without any rush. So no going any detours, so you can spend more time together. While Gusta was giving his fatherly advice under Anos's deadpan gaze. Father, how many times do I have to tell you that I will not go any detours or any other places? Hell, I even won't be gone for a long time. So please don't add unnecessary misunderstanding. What mother caused is already enough. I know, Anos, since you're a grown man now, so me and your mother won't. But in your affairs, but remember, everything is tricky in a relationship, Gusta said, totally misunderstanding Anos's reasoning. Anos just sighed while rubbing his forehead, suppressing the headache he has. After a while, both parents finally let the dough leave. Rimuru looked at their departing figures and mumbled. Since they're going the same direction, he should be able to handle those guys. Sigh, I really forgot how troublesome nobles would be. Saying so, she went inside the house to wash the remaining dishes. With Anos and Misha. As soon as they started their journey, both were quiet. It was pretty awkward for both, since they pretty much met each other today. Sighing, Anos broke the awkward atmosphere by speaking first. Well, Misha, I'm sorry about my parents' misunderstanding. I hope you don't take their antics to heart. Misha shook her pretty head and saying, No, don't worry about it. I had fun too, while having a small smile on her face. Seeing her smile, sincerely Anos scratched his face while saying, Well, when I go back, I will tell my parents that you are my comrade. Comrade? Misha asks curiously. Anos nodded while continuing. Yeah, I believe in this era they refer to as a friend. Yes, friend. A friend. Misha smiled more while bringing her hands towards her chest, which had some point began to beat a little faster. Seeing Misha this for considering her a friend, Anos smiled to himself and closed his eyes to enjoy this little peaceful atmosphere they created. Iris, but that was broken by the sound of walls that magically began to build itself completely surrounding them. The walls began to shape into an arena with 4 entrances which were blocked. While Anos looked at this with an eyebrow raised, he heard a sound of footsteps. Then from one of entrances came a familiar person with his usual cocky attitude. Hey, what do we have here? A mere half-breed that doesn't know the true meaning of defying a royalty. Hey, what do we have here? A mere half-breed that doesn't know the true meaning of defying a royalty. From the dark corridor came Zeps with his haughty attitude. While Anos just raised an eyebrow in amusement, Misha started to analyze the newly built stadium for any exists. Finding none, she gave up. And it's not like she would be harmed since Anos is there with her. She instinctively knew that fact. Fancy meeting you here, Zeps. Did your wounds this quickly? If so, you must have a very good person who can healing very proficiently near your inner circle, said Anos with his cocky attitude that will even make rocks spit blood. Shut up, you worthless half-breed. Zeps yelled. His family had to pay a high price to calm his mental state and heal the other internal injuries. He was so furious when he remembered how he begged in front of the whole world. So like a sensible royal, he decided to erase his shame from this world. And it seems the world seemed to agree with him. So when he was near that bastard house that he found with his connections, the bastard itself was coming towards him. So this is the half-breed who decided to defy a royal. How unsightly, said another voice. Turning towards one direction, they all found a young man with long black hair, 3 earrings on his right ear, and 2 on his left. He walking from another dark corridor that magically appeared. He walked towards them and stood beside Zeps. This person is Leorgindu, the head of the Indu family. He is also the older brother of Zeps. That's right, brother, he is the trash that doesn't know his place. Zeps shouted while pointing at Anos. His eyes glowed with glee as to finally have his revenge. But then all of a sudden Zeps was sent down face planted into the floor. He angrily tried to stood up thinking Anos was doing something, but he couldn't since his older brother was stepping on his head, keeping him from getting up. When he was trying to ask why, he heard something that left him speechless. Shut up, you disgrace. How much do you want to humiliate our noble family? Now that I know who the other commoner is, you have fulfilled your purpose, so now die. Saying so, Leorg casted a magic that burned Zeps. Zeps screamed in agony until his burned corpse was left. Surprised, Anos asked, "Why did you kill him? Didn't you all come to get revenge for him?" "How, why should I help a disgrace who couldn't even win against a commoner?" "Enough of that. You who have done the great sin of defying a royal shall be punished by me." As he said, more people began to appear of all sides of the arena. Even though he was surrounded, Anos didn't panic for him. Unless someone like Rimuru appear, he wouldn't even need to blink to defeat them. But he was really disappointed. "So guys care about your image than your own family. Is this how you so-called royals do things? Killing your own family because he was too weak? What a disappointment. Enough of your blabbering. We royals have the duty of upholding our authority till our founder is born among us. You half-breeds have no right to disagree with our ways. You are only left be the slaves you are to our founder and us royals," said Leorg. "Did you know we pure-bloods have a special authority over the government of this city? So no matter how much you scream, you'll never have any help, huh?" He continued while laughing maniacally. "So you just eliminate any competition so you could just keep your royal pride, huh? Are you sure you have the founder's blood? It is kind of suspicious if you are this low," said Anos while seriously thinking about it. "Did you just criticize the founder? You mongrel as a royal, I shall force judgment on you, dog, for the sin of criticizing our founder's blood," an enraged Leorg said. "How would me questioning my own blood a sin?" Anos asked, genuinely curious. What kind of nonsense are you blabbering about? You really are late on the uptake, huh? I mean to say is that I am the founder, so how would I questioning my blood be a sin, said Anos. Enough. I heard enough nonsense of you. You shall die a horrible death for your sins. Saying so, a dark magic circle began to appear in Leorg's hands. Soon the same magic circle appeared on each of the other royals who were surrounding them. Let me show you the true horror of the magic we the royals, who have the blood of the founder, can do. Saying so, he laughed maniacally and launched the attack on Anos. Soon the others followed suit. Soon a huge explosion ensued, and the smoke began to cover the whole arena. Leorg was satisfied at his work, and was about to leave when he heard, barely plausible but still too weak. Furrowing his brows, he saw Anos still standing there without a scratch on his body, while Misha was enveloped in a barrier. How impossible! You took the full brunt of magic and is still unharmed, said Leorg in disbelief. Well, it really isn't that powerful to begin with, and your spell had a major flaw, you know? What you used is origin magic, Jurast, a magic that helps you borrow magic from a source that is more powerful than you, and you borrowed magic power from someone who in the mythical era reigned supreme in his own kind and slayed the gods due to his tyranny, in other words me, the demon king of tyranny. An origin magic cannot harm its origin, so it's pretty useless against me, said Anos, finishing his lecture. What, how did you know the forbidden magic that only we royals know? And enough of you nonsense, I refuse to believe our mighty founder would reincarnate as a half-breed. Saying so, he and the others created another magic circle to attack again. Sigh, this is getting bothersome, so let's end this. Saying so, Anos looked at the magic circles, and his eyes glowed a little. Then all of a sudden, all the magic circles began to react violently. Anos was being unstable. What? My magic circle is malfunctioning, exclaimed the others as they desperately tried to cancel their spells. What you do? Shouted Leorg as he also tried to cancel his own spell. Me nothing. I had threatened the magic in your hands, and yours is just trying to flee away. You should really use your demonic eyes to check. Encountering someone with more magic power density, always do this. So, if I were you, I would really get my control back on that spell, or you would die. Shit. Cursed Leorg as the magic circle in their hands detonated. Asterisk boom, asterisk. A huge explosion happened due to the malfunctioning of the magic circles. When smoke dispersed everyone, but Leorg was unconscious. Even he was barely hanging on. Oh, you do have some skill to survive. Since that's the case, let me give you a little reward. Saying so, Anos walked towards the corpse of Zeps and casted a dark, ominous magic circle. I groaned. Soon his corpse began to twitch and slowly, like a zombie, started to move around. You! What have you done, you monster? shouted Leorg, seeing how Anos was disrespecting the dead. Now don't jump into conclusions just yet. What I'm giving you is a chance. Team up with your brother and face me together. It hurts, brother, hurts. Why did you kill me, brother? Whyy, screamed the now zombified Zeps. Are you joking with me? Can that thing even have intelligence to think? Isn't better to end its misery? Saying so, Leorg casted an attack magic and blasted it towards Zeps. But what he didn't expect was Zep's retaliation by casting an even more fierce magic. Seeing his magic was overpowered easily, he quickly to the side to escape a fatal blow. How he didn't have that magic power to support that spell, exclaimed Leorg. It is because of the magic, Igram, which resurrects the user as a zombie. While in this state, the user would feel the previous negative emotions he felt and will seek revenge by using his emotions as a catalyst. Now you can team up with your brother. Since he is more powerful than you, right? Teaming up would at least allow you to survive more in a battle with me, answered Anos. Are you out of your mind? That thing will kill me before anything, said Leorg while cursing. No, that would not happen. Even in this state, Zeps is still your brother. So call out to your brother, make him remember the times that you two shared the bond as a family. Show me that the bonds of family is still sturdy as it was in the old days, shouted Anos with passion mixed into his speech. With his speech, as a signal, Zeps leaped into Leorg with magic circles in his hands. As Zeps coming near him, Leorg began to remember the times he spent with his brother, the times both of them played together, all the happy memories he had were pouring into his brain at that moment. Instinctively he shouted, Zeps! Asterisk boom, asterisk. A huge explosion engulfed both of them. When the smoke died down, what was left is the two corpses of Zeps clutching the heart of Leorg. Well, that was anticlimactic. Who would have thought that bonds between a family member is just so much? In those days, even when someone was in a zombified state, they never lost their bond with their family. Sigh, what a disappointment. Well, at least he remembered who he was fighting. That's a plus sign, right? Mumbled Anos as he walked towards the duo. Misha, who was forgotten, thought, he is brutal. As he was near the arena that constructed began to crash down due to the two rapid explosions that happened. Sigh, what a tiresome duo. If I left you there and try to stabilize this arena, you wouldn't be resurrected. If I ignore it and try to revive you guys, the others would be dead. You really are making me work a lot, said Anos, while already making various magic circles in the air. Misha, seeing this many magic circles, thought, as expected, he can defy common sense like it was breathing. So now do you understand your mistakes? Asked Anos, smiling at the kneeling Zeps and Leorg. After saving all of them, Anos made the culprits reflect on their mistakes. But as you can tell, both the siblings just wouldn't openly admit it, especially to him. Well then, see you guys later. Oh, and if you two want come and play again, tell me beforehand, okay. Saying so, Anos waved at them and began to resume his journey with Misha. Never, you monster. I would rather die than face you again. He completely ignored the ramblings of those two. Turning to Misha, he said a little apologetically, I'm sorry about that, Misha. I hope you didn't mind that much. Misha shook her head and said, It's no problem, I watched a good show. Is that so? Said Anos, unable to understand what is so interesting about a childish fight. After that, without any more interruptions, Anos safely escorted Misha to her home and went back to his home by using Gatham. After that, he went to bed to enjoy his sleep before going to school tomorrow. Before long, he was fast asleep. But what he didn't know was the glowing yellow eyes that appeared in the darkness. It looked like he used more magic than before and is tired. 'Tis just when I was free to beat some sense into him. So whatever, I will just teach him tomorrow. Saying so, the eyes disappeared like they never existed in the first place. It is a grand day for the Demon King Academy, as today is the day the generation of chaos, who in the prophecy is supposed to have the reincarnation of the Demon King of tyranny. And in one of the classrooms, the door of the class opened. From there came a unique pair. One wearing a boy wearing the white Demon King Academy uniform that is worn by the commoners while having a different badge from the rest. The other is a girl with slivery blue hair. She, unlike the boy, wore the red Demon King Academy school uniform that is worn by the royals, while she also has a different badge on her uniform. As soon as they both entered the class, they gathered everyone's attention. To anyone gathering this much attention will probably make them freak out, but for the two of them, it is nothing as they have experience dealing more crowd than this. The boy smiled a cocky smile and announced, "Good morning, everyone. The class is under my control now. I will kill everyone who opposed me." Bam! Rimuru slapped the back of Anos's head, making a huge bump appear on his head. She shakes her head, seeing his "Why did you hit me?" look, sighing at his airheadedness. She walked into the classroom, completely ignoring him. Anos also followed Rimuru, while internally wondering, why the hell did she hit me that hard? That joke was a popular one back in those days. Both have walked inside and wondered where to sit when they saw an acquaintance sitting on the last row. It's Misha, who was sitting lonely at the last desk in the classroom. Most of the people seems to ignore her presence for some reason. Seeing there is no one occupying the seats next to her, they both decided to sit there. "Good morning, Misha." Rimuru greeted her as she sat on her seat. "Good morning," greeted Misha back. "Hey Misha, did you like my joke?" asked Anos, eagerly waiting for good feedback. "What joke?" Misha tilted her head and asked. "The one where I said we'll kill everyone that defies me." "Was it a joke?" Misha asks innocently, which damages Anos more than he thought. "Damn the difference in era," Anos cursed under his breath. "So Misha, why does it look like the others are a bit distant from us?" asked Anos to change the topic. "Well, they would since someone went and threatened all of them at the start," said Rimuru sarcastically. "It is because of the badges you two are wearing," answered Misha. Both Anos and Rimuru were surprised to this information. Misha nodded her head and continued. "Yes, throughout the history, there were no special cases like you two. First, Anos, you have the cross mark in your badge. Do you know what that represents?" Anos shook his head, letting Misha continue. "Throughout the history, every child, even the commoners, has a demon king aptitude, no matter how low it is. And what that cross signifies is 0, meaning you have no demon king aptitude, making you the first misfit to ever appear in history," said Misha. Anos was flabbergasted by this. He, the demon king himself, was called a misfit in his own castle. He didn't know whether to cry at this. In his lifetime, he never heard something this nonsensical. "Wait, does my badge also means I have poor demon king aptitude?" asked Rimuru worriedly, as she would get a little agitated when someone tried to challenge her pride just because of a stupid badge. If it was before her second reincarnation, she wouldn't even mind it and will just have her sweet revenge on them. But after being reborn as a true dragon, her instincts began to change, and being with prideful beings like Velgrind and Velzer doesn't help either. Know for your badge is more special than Anos's. It was said during the times when the founder was still the ruler of all demons, he respected one person to the point that he would even kneel. And that person is the advisor of the founder, who is also prophecies to reincarnate with him. And that badge indicates that you are most suitable candidate that would be his reincarnation, which is even more believable since you were the royal's uniform, said Misha, completing her explanation. Soon Rimuru activated her skill, thought acceleration, to the fullest and started a very serious talk with Ciel. Ciel explained, "What did you do?" "It's nothing important, Master. I just used casualty manipulation and added a background for Master." "What do you mean it is not important? From what Misha tells me, I kind of feel that advisor is a big deal, and don't use casualty manipulation willy-nilly," Rimuru complained with a headache. "Don't worry, Master. I didn't go overboard with your background. Would you like to hear the full report of it?" replied Ciel calmly. "You know what, I give up. Just hit me with the report. What worse that could happen," said Rimuru, unknowingly raising a flag. "Yes, Master," before the demon king of tyranny ascended to the throne. He was like any other demon, but unlike the others, he had limitless potential and an unyielding will. But he still lacked something, and that was guidance. And that guidance was fulfilled by the advisor. He trained the demon king in martial arts, politics, magic, and many more. He stood by the demon king's side, assisting him in various ways in the Great War. And finally, he was there when the king decided to sacrifice his life to create the dimensional barriers. After the king's sacrifice, he was the one who delivered the king's last words to the people. It was also said that he, like the king, choose to reincarnate in the next life to be of help to him again. Legends say that if you are recognized by the advisor, he or she would have huge possibility to be the founder's reincarnation as they are destined to be together. So the academy does a secret search on every student who would enroll in the academy. Oh, Rimuru had no words to comment to Ciel's ridiculous explanation. She took a deep breath and exhaled to calm her head from the incoming headache. Sighing in her heart, she stopped her skill from working and her perception returned to normal. I will look into that later, Rimuru said, making Anos, who was about to comment on something, shut up. She then turned to Misha and asked, "So Misha, could you say the founder's name, please?" Misha is still expressionless, blinked at Rimuru, and said, "You must not call out the awe-inspiring name of the founder." "Well, then could you say my name, please?" asked Anos. Anos. "No, I mean my full name." Anos Voldegode. Anos began to think about this for a few minutes, and he finally said, "Hey, Misha, I'm about to use leaks, so could you just say the name of the founder in your mind?" Misha nodded. Then Anos put a hand on Misha's forehead and nodded her to say it. The founder's name is Avuz Delhevia. "Who the hell is that?" thought Anos as he retrieved his hand from Misha's forehead. "Oh, this is interesting," mumbled Rimuru as she found something he didn't. With a questioning tone, he asked, "Did you find something, Rimuru?" Rimuru smiled, a smile that was full of mischief, and said, "Fate has been changed." Anos was dumbfounded. As he was about to ask for more, he suddenly heard the sound of the teacher entering the class. Deciding to ask about this later yet, he sat down with the rest of the class. "I'm Emilia, the homeroom teacher of Class 2. My best regards for this year," said the teacher, who is a young adult woman with pink eyes and long light purple hair, which she keeps in a bun. Her attire consists of a black dress on top of a white blouse and red skirt. She also wears a white shawl, white heels with pantyhose, and a pendant with a purple gem. As from today, we are starting the... As Emilia was doing her opening speech, Rimuru, like a respectable adult, ignored her and started to have a little conversation with Ciel. "So, Ciel, did you figure out about Misha's fate manipulation with this clue?" "Correct, Master. The possibility of the involvement of Hero Cannon is 80%, as he is the only known individual to have a weapon or artifact that can be used to tamper with fate and destiny. Well, I can kind of think of a reason for him to use that, but he really messed up this time." "That is incorrect, Master, as I suspect the gods have a hand in making him do something with so many loose ends." "Typical. Ciel, find more information about this. I want to know what are consequences of changing the legend of the Demon King of Tyranny." "Yes, Master. I shall try my best. First off, we will split into groups. If you want to become a team leader, please announce your candidacy. However, the condition is you have to be able to use magic to teach from now on." As Rimuru heard Emilia's announcement, she came back to her senses. She then saw a huge magic circle that was drawn on the whiteboard. This is probably the first time you've seen it, but this is the magic circle for Gizeh. Briefly put, under the hand of the king, it gives strength to the subordinates in his army. We'll be practicing this in class. You will attempt to draw this formation, and if it's judged that you can, then you have the qualification to be a team leader. Right. Please raise your hand if you want to be team leader. Looking around, she saw about 5 to 8 people were raising their hands. Anos also raised his hand. Fun thing is he is the only one who wore a white uniform that raised their hand. And from the teacher's expression, she didn't expect anyone from the commoner's batch to raise their hands. "Arnos Cohen, was it? I'm sorry, but you don't qualification to be team leader." "Oh, here comes a face slapping," thought Rimuru as he regrets no bringing any popcorn for the incoming show. Anos POV. You will attempt to draw this formation, and if it's judged that you can, then you have the qualification to be a team leader. Seeing the familiar magic circle I remembered in the past, where I would just be sitting in my throne while my generals and soldiers goes to battle while enjoying the buff I supported. I kind of miss them now. I thought about my generals who would even bet with me about how many casualties we would have in battle just so they could try out this spell. Well, I created that spell because of their reckless in the first place. When I just became king, I used to end some battles myself since they tend to take more time than necessary. But after much convincing, they may just sit in the throne and just give orders. I did that for a few days, and I got bored since the fights took about forever, so I just created this spell as a buff for my subordinates. Oh, those are some good memories. Raise your hand if you want to be a team leader. Wait a minute, isn't this good opportunity for me? Since I seem to have gotten an abnormal result, showing them my leadership skills may make some people notice my presence as the Demon King. And Rimuru doesn't seem interested in being the leader, so I will have to be one since I don't sense anyone who could make me obey their orders. And it seems fun too. Thinking, so I raise my hand as a candidate. Oh, why does my classmates look at me like that? Even Misha seems surprised at my actions. Is it because I am the only one with a white uniform? Arno's Cohen was it? I'm sorry, but you don't qualification to be team leader. Oh, what do you mean I don't have the qualifications? You're looking at your founder, a person who led the demons to victory in a great war. If I don't have qualifications, I wonder who does. Why? I asked, puzzled. Because you're mixed blood. Mixed blood? I really don't get why that would be a problem. I mean, is the blood you have really anything special? Emilia got angry when I said that. Is that a royal criticism? Women, are you taking drugs? When the hell did I say something like that? I didn't say such a stupid thing. But since you insisted, I'll prove mixed blood are just as superior as pure blood. If I can prove it, you will accept me. Emilia sighs. Do you not know the proof of superiority was given to us by the founder? As for proving mixed blood is superior to pure blood, that would mean that you are superior to royalty. Do you still dare to prove it now? When the hell did I give my descendants such rights? Even the likelihood I gave it, and I didn't remember I aren't that stupid to give them this much freedom. Something isn't right here. But first, let me deal with this first. Foo-foo, this is interesting. So if I prove myself, you wouldn't deny my candidacy, right, teacher Emilia? Emilia then angrily said, just stop wasting time and prove it already. I have a class to teach. All right, then, challenge expected. Let's just finish this with Zect, then shall we? As I said, a yellow magic circle appeared, and on half of it glowed blue. How, whatever. If you couldn't prove it, you must resign from this academy immediately, Zect. That's kind of unreasonable, but oh well, just accept it for now. As soon as I thought of it, the yellow part of the magic circle turned blue, and a then circle disappeared. I then stood up and walked toward the whiteboard and walked past her. But I did hear her mumbling. How did it activate the magic? I didn't even feel the magic power gathering. What is that so shocking? I mean, in those days, Zect was used for everything, so you just need to say it as deal, and you subconsciously activate the spell. I wonder of how low is the qualifications to be teacher, if one couldn't even recognize this trick. Musing at those thoughts, I stood in front of the magic circle, then looked at it for a moment, and then asked the useless teacher, this magic circle, was it developed by royalty? Yes, the founder developed this magic and passed it down to the nobility. Since then, we've been spreading this magic to the commoners. I see. This magic circle has flaw, No way. That's impossible. Gizeh was performed for 2,000 years in this form. No one has ever found a flaw. I found it 2,000 years ago, but never got around to fixing it before I reincarnated. I rewrote 3 parts of the formula on the blackboard. This is its perfect form. If you call yourself a teacher, tell me what you see. Emilia looks at the formation with an expression that says she cannot believe it. Such a thing, just by rewriting 3 places this. Magical efficiency has increased by 10%, and its magical effect is 1.5 times more. So, is my qualifications clear now? Asked Anos while smirking at Emilia. Emilia grits her teeth and muttered in hatred. Yes, you can become a team leader. Anos nodded, seemingly satisfied with her words, and went back to his seat. Emilia took a few breaths to calm herself and for her professional side of her to take over. She then clapped her hands to gain everyone's attention to her once again. Now, then the candidates who were chose to be team leader, please stand up. At her words, 5 students, including Anos, stood up. First, we'll start by letting the team leaders introduce themselves. We'll be kind enough to be first, Sasha. Saying, Emilia turned to attention to a girl with long blonde hair with ribbons and twin tails, blue eyes, and a fairly short and petite frame. She grips the edge of her skirt and bows elegantly and said, I'm from a Necron family and a direct descendant of one of the original 7 demon emperors, Avis Necron. I'm Sasa, Necron the Witch of Ruin. Pleased to make your acquaintance. At her words, the class soon erupted in a frenzy. Oh my God, She is a direct descendant from one of the great demon elders, exclaimed one unimportant classmate. I heard she even has a magic power amount that broke the new record, said another. We are so lucky to be in the same class as the Witch of Ruin. I wonder if I can join her team, said another. While the others busy fanboying or trying to scheme a way to Sasha's team, Rimuru had a strange expression on her face. Anos looked at her, asked, "Is it because of how she has the same family name as Misha?" Rimuru absent-mindedly nodded. I asked about it now, and it turned out she is Misha's older sister, which would technically make Misha pure blood by default, as both of her parents are the same, but because of some family drama, they decided to enroll Misha as a commoner. So I wonder, how did this strange ideology of bloodline appear in these times of peace? Sighed Anos, unaware that Rimuru didn't even listen to him, as she is having a very serious talk with Ciel in her mind. Ciel, is it me, or have I been not able to sleep lately? Your body doesn't need to sleep, master, but know your sleep schedule was not interrupted in any way. Then this has to be a dream, right? There is no way that both Militia and Aburn to reincarnated in the same era, right? Unfortunately, master, what you see is reality, as souls cannot be faked. Sai, what kind of mess did I get myself involved? If my earlier assumptions were correct, then both of these girls are victims to the manipulation of fate and destiny. Ciel analysis both of their souls, sources, and fates to see what those guys did. Already done, master. It seems, master, both individuals have a sources which are weak and unstable. There is also a trace of a magic spell, which is used to split one source into two. If my guess is correct, both of these girls were never meant to be the reincarnations of the two goddesses. But due to the manipulation of fate and destiny, their souls and sources were mixed with each half and created to make these unstable source. And by the help of another magic spell, which is used to combine two sources, the two unstable sources will be merged and clash would happen to decide the main personality. But Ciel, I can't see how the gods would profit from this. From what I could tell, the Necron family would only gain a better demon who could have the potential to be as strong a god who has full control over his order. Master, when the clash between wills happened, both of their souls would be tired. So a third party with a powerful soul and can interfere and subdue both of them and take control over the body. And God's souls and will happen to be very strong and suited for this job. Shit, that was close one. With Misha's destiny to disappear shattered, I might have destroyed half of the god's plan. Now, I just have to interfere with this Sasha girl's fate and be done with it. What about the fusion spell that is placed on them? If not treated early, one of them would disappear, master. Oh, I will let Anos handle that. If my gut feeling is something to consider, both of them would be saved by Anos. And it's not like a little soul tinkering couldn't fix them. If you say so, master. I'm the Demon King of Tyranny, Anos Voldegod. I'll tell you all right now that the name of the Demon King you believe in is wrong. The real name is Anos Voldegod. Not that any of you will believe me. I don't blame you, though. In time, you will understand. Pleased to meet you. As she heard these words, Rimuru had an urge to bury herself in a hole and hide forever. She doesn't want anyone to associate her with him. She wondered where she went wrong in teaching him. Fortunately for her, the classroom just took his words for nothing. Seems like this is demon thing. Even Amelia didn't even blink at his words and just went on with the class, leaving some instructions about the team and whatnot. Soon people began to stand up and go to groups they all prefer. Except for Anos, all the four others had a decent number of teammates. Anos, seeing this, just shrugged it off as he could solo things most of the time, and with Rimuru here, he wouldn't be disqualified. He saw Misha looking at her sister. I wouldn't mind if you want to join your sister's group, he said softly. Misha shook her head and replied, No, it's all right. After all, we are friends, she said, smiling a little. You should smile a little more, Misha. That smile of yours is beautiful, commented Rimuru as she looked at her smiling. Misha nodded her head while blushing a little. Anos chuckled a little and turned his attention to the visitor who came towards them. Anos Voldegod, was it? Nice to meet you, said Sasha while giving Misha some nasty looks. A why sudden greeting? Anos asked, raising an eyebrow. I just want to give my condolences to you who decided to give this magic doll a place in your group. Sasha said, mockingly looking at Misha with contempt. When you say defective doll, are you referring to Misha? Asked Rimuru with a very calm tone that made Anos sweat a little as dread what she would do to this poor soul. Is there anyone else in your group? Ha 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 ha. Don't you know? That child isn't a demon, but she's not human either. Like I said earlier, she's a defective doll, San. No life, no soul, no will. Just a trash doll that only works due to magic. A magic doll? Is that what she said when their parents were the same? Was she created using their blood? Well, whatever. There are many, many ways of creating magic dolls. There's even a way of creating a magic doll by a Mizoku actually giving birth to it. If you're good with magic, then the doll will really be alive. Leaving that I must solve this before Rimuru does something that would traumatize this girl. So what? Asked Anos, gaining her attention. What do you mean? Asked Sasha, puzzled. If you think that a magic doll has no life nor soul, then your understanding of magic is pitifully shallow. Concentrate your demon eyes even further and stare into the abyss, said Anos. A surprised expression quickly crossed on Sasha's face before she laughed fearlessly. I'll give you some advice. If you stay by such a cursed doll, San, something bad will happen. Nay, you understand that, right? Anos blinked before laughing. Kukuku, kuahaha. What that? Is that a threat? To this me? Sasha starts to glare at him. Nay, you. Do you want to die? Nay, you. Do you want to die? As she said that, her eyes began change as blood-red rune began to appear in them. The students watching showdown with interest started to panic. Boy, this is bad. That guy made Sasha-sama mad to the point where she activated her eyes. What do you mean? You don't know? The demon eyes of Sasha-sama are special. It is called the demon eyes of ruin. If she invokes them, then everything in her field of vision will turn to ruin as she wills it. Even you will disintegrate without any resistance. That's why Sasha-sama is called the Witch of Ruin, exclaimed a student who, for some reason, was very knowledgeable. Or do you think you intimidate me? Let me show you how true animation is worked, said Anos, as he also activated his demon eyes of ruin to negate the effects of hers. Impossible. How did you have? Exclaimed Sasha as she looked in shock at his eyes. I did really think only you have these eyes. Now let me teach you one or two about these eyes. Saying so, Anos increased the magic power output, and then an oppressive aura appeared, and it directly targeted the mind of Sasha. As she was caught off guard, her mind was injured. Rimuru, seeing this, just wanted to stop time and beat Anos up till he realized this is not where people would always be in guard for attacks, whether it was psychical or spiritual. Sighing, Rimuru decided to heal this girl. So she took action. Enough, she said softly, but to the others it was a command they must obey. When they all turned to her, they were, especially Anos, was surprised to see that Rimuru's eyes also had a rune in them. But unlike Sasha or Anos, hers is dark purple like the void. A student shakily said, those are the legendary magic eyes of tyranny, the eyes that are said to be the same eyes as the advisor. In legends, the advisor used these eyes to order the unruly demons. With its power to make others obey his or her will, the advisor created the best disciplined army that ever known. He explained with a lot more unnecessary details. Well, to Rimuru, these eyes are just for show, as she could make any being obey her orders with her charisma and aura alone. So why did she do this? Well, it's mainly to look cool. Stop this fighting, or I will join you. Although her words seemed to confuse the other, Sasha and Anos as pale completions when hearing this. Both of them could be having fear in their eyes. What everyone didn't notice was when Rimuru spoke, her eyes activated and pulled both Anos and Sasha to different mindscapes. In those mindscapes, both of them went through hell. Anos went through a trash courses of training where he had to survive the onslaught of many demons while having his magic sealed. Well, let's just say he almost broke through to the Grandmaster stage in swordsmanship. As for Sasha, she went to life as a magic doll that would just only obey orders whether it liked it or not. And she might have gotten more emotional and spilled some secrets, which Rimuru find it reasonable to believe. Well, it was just a little punishment for Sasha for hurting Misha's feelings, and a punishment for Anos for the stupid things he did. Well, she did erase Sasha's memory since that would be too cruel to her, but deep down her subconscious knew it was real, so that's why she was scared. Well, Rimuru just wanted an opportunity to heal the injury Anos inflicted on her, and to destroy that fate, which was unnecessary as it looked like it was almost broken on its own due to the uniqueness of her source and her strong will to change fate. If they war on Earth, Rimuru would say that Sasha is someone who is a hero in making since she stood against her fate and tried to defy it. Well, Rimuru is sure she could enjoy a good show when Anos interferes, as he always do. No, I will retreat for now. Saying so, Sasha was about to leave when someone interrupted her. Wait, Sasha, since you have pretty good magic power, why don't you join my group? Asked Anos. Sasha looked at him with a speechless expression. What are you saying? Do you even realize what you are asking? What? I'm just inviting you to join my group. What's so hard to understand about that? Asked Anos. I'm not on about that. I'm a group leader. Rebuked Sasha. Quit then. Hiya. Sasha was speechless again. Does he even know what he is telling, she wondered. But the next moment she shook her head and angrily said, Stop saying such foolish things. I have no reason to quit being a group leader. Well, if you join my group, you can patch up a relationship with Misha. Doesn't that sound a good reason for you? Said Anos like he was talking to a child. Her body started to shake and her eyes activated on its own. I've never thought of that doll as my younger sister. She spat angrily while leaving for her seat. Rimuru sighed and thought, what a tsundere. I'm sorry, Misha murmured after Sasha left. You do not need to apologize. It was her that picked a fight with me, so you don't need to apologize. Furufur Misha shakes her head. Sasha is a good person. Are you defending her because she's your older sister, or do you really think that? It's hard to judge due to Misha's deadpan expression. Thought Anos. It's my fault, she said. Even after being called a trash doll, Misha doesn't seem to hate her sister. It seems Misha really understands Sasha more than the person herself realizes, thought Rimuru with a smile on her face. She was about to console Misha. Though I'm curious, what did she mean by saying you're a doll? Asked Anos as he suddenly felt it. Crash. He was punched in the face, making him crash into the wall behind him. As for the attacker, Anos, I think it is time for me to educate you a little about manners, Rimuru said with dark and sweet smile on her face. Shit. She is pissed, cursed Anos as he prayed for his safety. After a round of punishment later, now that all the groups have been decided, I'll continue with my explanation, so everyone please return to your seats. Emilia said, ignoring the terrified looks of the students who were trying hard to distance themselves from a certain blue silvery-haired girl. From this point on, I will be teaching you all magic, and we will be starting with Gize. This magic is especially suited for warfare, so in 1 week there will be a test. All groups will fight each other, so please study hard for it. Emilia begins her explaining, and the class resumed, as usual. At the end of their first day, Sasha came near Anos again and demanded, Let's fight. With me? What type of game is it? Asked Anos while raising his eyebrow. Didn't Milia-sensei said that in 1 week we will be tested by fighting each other. How about betting on that? The loser has to do what the winner asks. I see. It certainly is amusing, said Rimuru after figuring out why Sasha to challenge Anos. What are the states we are betting on? Asked Anos with his fighting spirit ignited. He would never say no to a challenge. Anos, don't try to accept the deal, just yet. He heard Rimuru's telepathic voice. Why the delay? You know, in Mythical Era, I was hardly challenged because of reputation, so please just let me have my fun here, he asked. Sigh. I wonder where I went wrong raising you. Look here, you battle junkie. Sasha here is not an enemy. She just puts a face to act a little colder to Misha. Although I don't know why she's doing this, I'm able to make some guesses if I observe her a little more. So don't try anything too abnormal and go with the flow, replied Rimuru. Very well, I shall play with her then, said Anos. The bets are simple. If you win, I will join your team as a team member without any more complaints, Sasha said. And if you win, asked Rimuru, who was curious about her request. If I win, I want both of your absolute obedience, Sasha said with a smug tone. Oh, why the sudden interest, poor old me, asked Rimuru. As simple. I will take everything that belongs to this doll, and it's a waste of wonderful resources to be left alone, said Sasha while making a villainous laugh. But despite that, Rimuru looked at her with a weird gaze. Why is she betting on an unknown variable? Yes, Sasha's goal was to make them help her in her master plan as a servant or as a companion. HMN, okay, when will the match start? Said Rimuru while signaling Anos to let her handle this. Oh, you agreed very easily. Is that really all right? You aren't going to have cold feet later, right? Asked Sasha while hiding her distress. As if they don't agree to the match, all her schemes are done for. Ah, don't worry, we won't back down now. But do try to give us a good fight if you are that worried, said Rimuru. HMP, we will see if you can say those big words after the match, saying so Sasha left. So she can tell that we are stronger than her. Excellent detection skill for someone in this era. Well, I think having a part of a god soul may play a part in this. Thought Rimuru while smiling. Did you really have to rile her up that much, asked Anos. Of course it's payback for insulting Misha, said Rimuru as she hugs Misha like doll. Sigh. Hey Misha, you should try to make up with her after she joins us. Or, I pray that she would be devastated by the pranks Rimuru will pull, said Anos to Misha. Misha widened her eyes at the first half, but tilted her head when she heard the latter. Why? Well, you see, Rimuru here can make some emotionally painful pranks. I remember that she even made an army general call a retreat just because she kept pranking them nonstop for a whole week, said Anos as he was reminiscing of those days. Rimuru at least had the decency to look away. Anyway, let's do our best to beat Sasha, so she doesn't get to witness that, said Anos while giving his best smile that doesn't make him look like a villain. I'll do my best, said Misha motivated. Rimuru at the side didn't know whether to laugh or cry at this moment. But as a million-year-old person she is, she ignored their conversation for the greater good. 1 week later, the first two groups will be Sasha and Arnos. Your results will affect your grades, so don't hold back. Do your best. Saying so, Emilia exited the demonic forest with the rest of the students. It shouldn't be you better remember your promise, right? Said Sasha with demonic eyes of ruin active. Yeah, if you're so worried about us breaking the promise, let's just sign a sect. Saying so, Anos made a sect magic circle appear near them. HMP, do you think I'm stupid? You could manipulate the contract how you like it, said Sasha while giving Anos a cold glare. Oh, she used her eyes to peer into my source and deduced my capabilities. Rimuru was right about her having a great talent. Thought while smiling internally at her. So what do you propose? Asked Rimuru while trying to find what Sasha is scheming. Asterisk points to Misha, asterisk, make that do the sect, she said still with her demonic eyes active. Even though she was being looked at by the demon eyes of ruined Misha wasn't bothered and stared back at her older sister. Okay with me? Ah, it doesn't matter who does it. Misha then holds up her palm and invokes the magic formation for sect. The conditions were written in magic and Sasha signed it. I will make you regret showing your arrogant attitude towards me. Saying so, Sasha led her team towards their base to prepare.